When Team Riku Miura and Ryuichi Kihara stood at the very top of the podium at the 2026 Cortina Winter Olympics, the world celebrated a historic victory. Millions admired the gold medal around their necks, the flawless performances, and the unforgettable journey that had brought Japan to the pinnacle of pair skating. But very few people knew that behind that triumph was a terrifying medical emergency that nearly changed everything. Hidden behind the cheers, cameras, and celebrations was a life-threatening moment that unfolded away from the spotlight, and at the center of it stood one man whose calm decisions would prove just as important as the skaters themselves, a dedicated team doctor who refused to let disaster become tragedy. Today, we're taking you behind the scenes of that incredible story while also exploring how fans around the world reacted to what happened. Why did these elite athletes place so much trust in their medical team? What really unfolded away from the television cameras on one unforgettable night? When I first learned the complete story, I was honestly speechless. Looking only at the medal results, you would never imagine the emotional and physical battle that took place behind the scenes. It reminded me that some of the greatest victories in sports are not just about winning competitions, they're about surviving the moments no one ever sees. To understand how everything unfolded, we need to travel back to one of the most dramatic nights in recent figure skating history. The story begins in March 2024 at the World Figure Skating Championships in Montreal, Canada. Riku Miura and Ryuichi Kihara entered the competition determined to defend their world title after overcoming months of challenges. Following the short program, the Japanese pair sat comfortably in second place and remained firmly in the battle for another world championship. Everything appeared to be going according to plan, but beneath the surface, their road to Montreal had already been filled with obstacles. Earlier that season, Kihara had been diagnosed with lumbar spondylolysis, a serious stress fracture in his lower back that forced him to miss much of the Grand Prix season. For most athletes, returning from such an injury is already incredibly difficult. Returning to challenge for a world championship medal after months away from competition seemed almost impossible. Yet Kihara fought his way back, determined not to let his injury define his season. Unfortunately, fate wasn't finished testing the Japanese pair. Just before the free skate, during the official 6-minute warm-up, disaster struck. While practicing their throw triple lutz, Miura crashed awkwardly and suffered a dislocated left shoulder. The injury happened only minutes before they were scheduled to compete. Later, Miura would calmly reveal that she had managed to push her shoulder back into place herself before returning to the ice. Even hearing those words is difficult to imagine. The pain must have been overwhelming, yet she had virtually no time to process what had happened. Instead of receiving hours of treatment or recovery, she had only moments before stepping into one of the biggest performances of her career. Inside the arena, the atmosphere changed instantly. Coaches, officials, teammates, and fans all understood the seriousness of the situation. Many wondered whether the pair would even be able to compete. Every eye inside the building focused on the Japanese team as uncertainty filled the air. Yet what happened next revealed the true character of Team Riku. Rather than allowing fear to overwhelm them, they chose to trust each other. Moments like these often define champions far more than medals ever can. Many athletes would struggle to regain their composure after such a frightening accident. Some might choose to withdraw entirely, and no one would blame them. But Miura and Kihara refused to surrender to circumstances they could not control. Looking back, it almost feels as though that painful moment planted the very seeds of the resilience that would eventually carry them toward Olympic glory. Their greatest strength had never been perfection. It had always been the bond they shared. As Miura battled intense pain before taking the ice, Kihara undoubtedly faced his own emotional struggle. Watching your partner suffer such a serious injury moments before competition is every pair skater's nightmare. Deep inside, he was almost certainly terrified. But instead of allowing those fears to show, he focused entirely on encouraging Miura. According to later accounts, he repeatedly reassured her with one simple message: "You're okay. We can do this. I know you can." Sometimes, the shortest words become the strongest source of courage. Those quiet expressions of confidence helped calm Miura at the exact moment she needed them most. Then the music began. With the entire arena watching, the Japanese pair pushed aside pain, fear, and uncertainty to deliver one remarkable performance. Their skating remained elegant, determined, and emotionally powerful despite everything that had happened only minutes earlier. Technically, the program was nothing short of extraordinary considering the circumstances. They successfully landed a level 3 triple twist along with both of their difficult throw jumps, the throw triple lutz and the throw triple loop. Although they made a small mistake on one side-by-side jumping pass, all 3 lifts and their pair spin earned impressive level 4 grades from the judging panel. Their free skate score reached 140.35 points, bringing their overall total high enough to secure the silver medal. Considering Miura had competed with a freshly dislocated shoulder, the result bordered on unbelievable. The gap separating them from the hometown Canadian champions, Diana Stellato-Dudek and Maxime Deschamps, was only 3.68 points. That tiny margin made their performance even more astonishing. Experts across the skating world praised not only the technical quality of their skating but also the incredible mental strength required to perform under such extreme conditions. Even Canadian fans, despite cheering for their own champions, rose to applaud the Japanese pair with tremendous respect. Every time I revisit that performance, I still get chills. Comparing it to other famous examples of injured athletes competing under pressure, Miura's situation stands out because virtually no recovery time existed between the injury and the performance itself. Most athletes who compete while injured have at least some opportunity to receive treatment or prepare mentally. Miura had neither. She simply stepped onto the ice carrying unimaginable pain while trusting both herself and her partner completely. It's almost impossible to imagine the level of determination required to perform at such a level under those circumstances. But as incredible as that performance was, the most frightening chapter of this story had not yet begun. In fact, the real emergency was only moments away. After finishing their unforgettable free skate, Miura and Kihara entered the kiss and cry area to wait for their scores. Relief, pride, disappointment, and exhaustion mixed together across their faces as they processed everything they had just endured. Then, without warning, Kihara suddenly began coughing uncontrollably. Within seconds, the situation escalated dramatically. His condition rapidly worsened, his face lost its color, and those around him immediately realized something was terribly wrong. Before anyone fully understood what was happening, Kihara collapsed, bringing shock to everyone nearby. The celebration instantly turned into a desperate medical emergency as officials rushed toward the fallen skater, unaware that this terrifying moment would soon become one of the most unforgettable stories in modern figure skating. The atmosphere changed in an instant. Only moments earlier, everyone had been celebrating an inspiring comeback performance that had earned Team Riku a remarkable World Championship silver medal. Now, the focus shifted entirely from competition to survival. Medical personnel rushed to Kihara's side as concerns spread throughout the arena. His condition deteriorated so quickly that he had to be placed on a stretcher and fitted with an oxygen mask before being transported for emergency treatment. As a result, he was unable to attend either the medal ceremony or the post-event press conference. For fans watching around the world, his sudden absence was confusing. Very few people realized that behind the scenes, a genuine medical crisis was unfolding. Looking back now, this became the defining turning point of the entire story. In the world of figure skating, serious injuries unfortunately happen from time to time, but it is extremely uncommon for an athlete to complete an elite-level performance and then suddenly experience such a dramatic medical emergency only minutes later. Pair skating depends completely on trust between partners, and watching one skater collapse immediately after delivering a world-class performance left everyone stunned. Had the response been delayed by even a short amount of time, the consequences might have been far more serious, potentially affecting not only Kihara's career but his long-term health as well. Fortunately, someone was already prepared for exactly this kind of situation. Leading the emergency response was Dr. Tsuchiya and the Japanese medical team, professionals whose names rarely appear in headlines but whose responsibilities carry enormous weight. Every time I think back on this moment, I can't help but feel a chill. While television audiences celebrated medal standings and replayed beautiful performances, an entirely different battle was taking place behind closed doors. Most viewers never realized that one of Japan's top athletes was fighting through a potentially life-threatening situation. It raises an important question. How often do we celebrate athletic achievements without ever considering the invisible people working tirelessly behind the scenes to keep those athletes safe? Before we continue with the emergency itself, it's worth taking a closer look at the man whose experience and quick thinking became so important that night. Dr. Tsuchiya had spent many years serving as part of Japan's Olympic medical support staff and had worked extensively with the Japan Skating Federation. His role extended far beyond treating injuries. He was responsible for protecting both the lives and the careers of elite athletes competing under extraordinary physical and mental pressure. Figure skating is a sport where even the smallest physical problem can quickly develop into a major injury. At the same time, elite athletes are naturally driven to ignore pain because they never want to miss an opportunity to compete. That combination creates an incredibly delicate situation where medical professionals must often make difficult decisions on behalf of competitors who would rather continue skating no matter what. Before researching this story, I honestly had never fully appreciated just how much responsibility rests on the shoulders of team doctors. They don't simply provide medical care. They constantly balance an athlete's competitive dreams against their long-term health and safety. Throughout international sports history, there have been unfortunate cases where warning signs were overlooked until tragedy occurred. Stories like those make experienced physicians such as Dr. Tsuchiya absolutely invaluable. Their ability to recognize danger before it becomes irreversible often determines whether an athlete returns to competition or sees a career end prematurely. Immediately after Kihara collapsed, the Japanese medical team began evaluating every possible cause. Rather than assuming he was simply exhausted after competition, they approached the situation with remarkable precision and urgency. They carefully considered multiple possibilities, including low oxygen levels, circulatory complications, and other acute medical conditions that could explain his rapidly worsening symptoms. Oxygen therapy was administered immediately while additional treatment focused on stabilizing his breathing and circulation. Medical staff continued monitoring him for nearly 2 hours before determining that he was stable enough to return to his accommodations. One of the most important aspects of their response was that they refused to dismiss the incident as simple fatigue. Instead, Dr. Tsuchiya systematically eliminated possible causes until he identified what appeared to be exercise-induced asthma as the most likely explanation. That diagnosis completely changed the course of Kihara's recovery. In my opinion, this is the moment that deserves far more recognition than it has received. Administering emergency care is one thing, but accurately identifying the underlying medical condition while the crisis is still unfolding requires years of experience and specialized expertise. Without that diagnosis, Kihara could easily have continued competing without understanding what had happened, placing himself at risk for another potentially dangerous episode in the future. Similar situations in other sports have sometimes ended with athletes walking away from competition simply because doctors were unable to determine the true cause of their symptoms. Here, however, quick medical judgment created a clear path toward recovery and allowed Kihara to continue pursuing his career safely. While Kihara remained under medical observation, reporters still needed answers. Since neither he nor Miura could attend the scheduled press conference, their coach, Bruno Marcotte, stepped forward to explain the situation on behalf of the team. His words painted an emotional picture of everything that had happened after the free skate. Marcotte explained that both skaters had been extremely proud of their performance despite everything they had overcome. Shortly after leaving the ice, however, Kihara began coughing repeatedly before experiencing dizziness and difficulty maintaining his balance. His blood oxygen levels had dropped significantly, making it impossible for him to remain standing. The medical team immediately intervened and transported him for treatment. By the time Marcotte visited him later, Kihara's condition had already improved considerably. Yet what struck the coach most was not Kihara's concern for himself. Instead, he felt deeply disappointed that he had been unable to attend the medal ceremony and, even more importantly, that he had missed the opportunity to personally congratulate the newly crowned world champions, Diana Stellato-Dudek and Maxime Deschamps. Marcotte told reporters that if Kihara couldn't deliver those congratulations himself, he wanted to express them on his athlete's behalf. That small detail says so much about Ryuichi Kihara's character. Even while recovering from a frightening medical emergency, his first thoughts were not about his own suffering but about showing respect to his competitors. Moments like these reveal the true measure of an athlete far more than medals ever could. I honestly find that incredibly moving. Most people facing such a serious health scare would naturally focus entirely on themselves. Yet Kihara's immediate concern remained sportsmanship, gratitude, and respect for others. It's qualities like these that explain why he and Miura have earned admiration not only for their performances but also for the people they are away from the ice. As news of the incident spread, international figure skating media quickly began covering the story in greater detail. Respected publications carefully reported both the competition results and Marcotte's explanation of Kihara's sudden medical emergency. Their coverage emphasized not only the Japanese team's remarkable resilience but also the seriousness of the health situation that had unfolded behind the scenes. At the same time, social media filled with messages of concern from skating fans across the globe. Many viewers had noticed that the Japanese pair was absent from the medal ceremony but hadn't understood why. Once the reason became public, countless posts wishing Kihara a speedy recovery began appearing online. Suddenly, the final standings no longer seemed like the biggest story of the championship. Instead, fans everywhere were united by one simple hope: that both athletes would recover safely after enduring one of the most dramatic nights of their careers. As the hours passed and the immediate crisis began to settle, the emotional impact of everything that had happened became impossible to ignore. The medals, the scores, and the applause suddenly seemed secondary to one overwhelming reality: both athletes had narrowly escaped a night that could have ended very differently. Behind the cameras, after the arena had grown quiet and the crowds had gone home, Riku Miura finally had the chance to see her partner again. It was only several hours after the frightening incident, late into the night, that the two were able to speak face to face. What Miura said in that moment would later become one of the most emotional quotes connected to their journey. Looking at Kihara after he had stabilized, she quietly told him, "Thank you for staying alive." Those 5 simple words carried more emotion than any victory speech ever could. They revealed just how terrified she had been while watching her partner collapse before her eyes. Imagine standing beside someone you trust completely, someone with whom you've spent years chasing the same dream, only to watch that person suddenly lose consciousness and be rushed away on a stretcher. It is a scene no athlete ever expects to experience. What makes Miura's reaction even more heartbreaking is the fact that she herself had just endured an extremely painful shoulder dislocation only hours earlier. She was already battling her own injury, yet the fear of losing her partner overshadowed everything else. Instead of thinking about her shoulder, the silver medal, or her own recovery, her only concern was whether Kihara would be okay. That says everything about the bond they have built over years of competing together. As more details emerged in the following days, another important piece of the story came to light. Kihara later revealed that the frightening episode in Montreal had not come completely out of nowhere. For nearly a year leading up to the World Championships, he had occasionally experienced unusual symptoms after intense free skate training sessions. Sometimes his hands would become numb. At other times, he felt as though his body simply wasn't receiving enough oxygen. Yet, like so many elite athletes, he convinced himself there was a simple explanation. Because he had been recovering from his back injury, he believed his conditioning had declined and assumed the strange sensations were nothing more than the result of insufficient stamina. Looking back now, those episodes were likely early warning signs that something more serious was developing. But when an athlete is completely focused on returning from injury, it's incredibly easy to dismiss small physical changes in the hope that hard work alone will solve the problem. Kihara wasn't ignoring his health because he was careless. He simply wanted to skate again, and his determination to return may have unintentionally caused him to overlook symptoms that deserved closer attention. The morning after the emergency, Dr. Tsuchiya reached out to check on him personally. Considering the frightening events of the previous evening, he understandably expected to hear someone who was exhausted and emotionally shaken. Instead, when Kihara answered the phone, his voice sounded calm, positive, and remarkably composed. For the doctor, it was an enormous relief. After spending hours managing a potentially dangerous medical emergency, hearing his athlete speaking normally again must have lifted an incredible weight from his shoulders. That conversation perfectly captured the emotional roller coaster everyone involved had experienced. In less than 24 hours, the team had gone from celebrating an extraordinary competitive performance to fearing for an athlete's health and finally arriving at the reassuring realization that he was recovering well. Personally, this part of the story affects me more than the medal itself. Miura's words, "Thank you for staying alive," never sound dramatic or exaggerated. They sound completely genuine because they came directly from someone who had just lived through one of the most frightening experiences imaginable. Those words remind us that beyond every score sheet and podium ceremony are real human beings whose relationships extend far beyond sport. Perhaps that is the true strength of Team Riku. Their partnership has never been built solely on technical excellence. It has always been built on trust, compassion, and unwavering support during life's most difficult moments. Not long afterward, Kihara publicly expressed his gratitude through social media, thanking the medical staff who had responded so quickly during the emergency. Alongside his message was the silver medal they had earned in Montreal, a medal that now represented far more than athletic success. It had become a symbol of resilience, teamwork, and second chances. Miura also shared an update regarding her own shoulder injury. She explained that, compared to a previous dislocation she had suffered 2 years earlier, this injury was less severe. Doctors expected approximately 6 weeks of rest and rehabilitation before she could gradually return to full training. Rather than dwelling on the disappointment of the injury, she reassured supporters that both she and Kihara remained fully committed to preparing for the upcoming season. Her message reflected the same determination that fans had admired throughout their entire journey. Even after enduring one of the most physically and emotionally exhausting weeks of their careers, neither athlete allowed setbacks to define their future. Around the same time, Dr. Tsuchiya officially confirmed that Kihara's episode had been identified as exercise-induced asthma triggered under extreme competitive conditions. Although he had never previously experienced such a severe attack, the extraordinary stress and physical demands of the World Championships likely pushed his body beyond its limits. Thankfully, because the condition had now been recognized, appropriate medication and long-term management strategies could be introduced, allowing him to continue competing safely. Once again, the importance of rapid medical judgment became impossible to overstate. What could have remained an unexplained collapse instead became a manageable condition thanks to immediate treatment and careful evaluation. In the days that followed, life slowly began returning to normal for the Japanese pair. Between rehabilitation sessions and preparations for the future, teammates described the two exchanging simple, encouraging words like, "You did great," or "We got through it together." Sometimes they joked about everyday life or talked excitedly about future competitions. Those quiet conversations may seem insignificant compared to dramatic moments on the ice, but in many ways they reveal the heart of this entire story. Great partnerships are not built only during competitions. They are strengthened during recovery, through shared hardships, honest conversations, and the willingness to keep moving forward together even after the most frightening experiences. Looking back over everything that happened in Montreal, I believe the greatest lesson is not simply about surviving a crisis. It's about the extraordinary people who stood beside one another throughout every stage of that crisis. The calm conversations that likely took place inside the hospital room, the reassuring phone call the next morning, the heartfelt messages shared with supporters, and the gratitude shown toward the medical team all remind us that the most powerful moments in sports often happen far away from television cameras. Knowing this incredible story changes the way many people now look at Team Rikuryu's later achievements, including their unforgettable rise to Olympic gold. Those victories were never built on talent alone. They were built on trust, resilience, compassion, and an unbreakable partnership that had already survived one of the darkest nights imaginable. And perhaps that is why their success continues to inspire figure skating fans around the world. Not because they never faced adversity, but because they refused to let adversity define the ending of their story.